Welcome to IQD Dinar News, your go-to source for the latest updates on currency exchange rates, revaluation news, and insights into the Iraqi dinar. Stay informed and ahead of the curve with our timely analysis and breaking developments. First, the call for a new exchange rate in your text underscores a need for stability and fairness in currency valuation for everyday Iraqi citizens. Salaries, which are a core element of people's livelihood, seem to be in a state of anticipation, awaiting a new exchange rate to bring more purchasing power and stability to households across Iraq. A stagnant exchange rate, in a volatile economic context, affects people's abilities to keep up with inflation, meet basic needs, and support their families, especially if inflation is eroding their income's real value. When salaries don't stretch far enough, the demand for a new exchange rate becomes an expression of frustration and an urgent plea for change. Your mention of the HCL, or the hydrocarbon law, adds another layer of complexity. The HCL is a law tied to Iraq's oil revenues, distribution, and management of resources, which has been a long-standing issue. The successful implementation of this law could bring more balanced revenue distribution between the central government and regional authorities, particularly in the oil-rich Kurdish region. However, without a revised exchange rate that aligns with Iraq's real economic capabilities and needs, even progress on the HCL wouldn't fully address the financial concerns of the population. A new exchange rate could potentially facilitate more transparent and fair financial practices within this law, giving citizens a direct benefit from the country's rich resources. Next, your observation about the absence of lower denominations speaks to the restructuring of Iraq's monetary system. Lower notes typically signal an economic shift, often part of a plan to bring stability and increase the usability of the currency domestically. In a functioning and balanced economic environment, these smaller notes would make transactions easier and reflect a healthy, functioning market. However, the absence of these lower notes in circulation indicates that the current exchange rate might not support such monetary tools, possibly due to inflation or the undervaluation of the currency. Lower denominations would make sense in an environment where purchasing power aligns with reasonable living costs and where currency is stable enough to support daily transactions at varying price points. When you repeat the phrase, "Give me a new exchange rate," it reflects a sense of urgency and frustration, a feeling that these ongoing issues should be resolved through decisive financial reform. For those tracking the Iraqi dinar, the revaluation debate centers around the idea that an updated exchange rate could align the currency's worth more closely with Iraq's actual economic standing, benefiting both the public sector and citizens by stabilizing salaries, enhancing the power of local transactions, and supporting national development. Each time you echo the phrase, "Give me a new exchange rate," it underscores the importance of this measure as a fundamental step toward broader economic reforms and stability. The phrase "by the way, they are giving them a new exchange rate IMO" suggests that you believe there are moves behind the scenes toward establishing a new exchange rate. While this may be speculative, it shows a glimmer of hope that changes are in the pipeline, possibly in response to the pressures and demands from citizens, economic analysts, and international observers. The demand for a new exchange rate is often a direct reflection of the country's financial struggles. A stable and fairly valued exchange rate is crucial for any economy as it affects everything from domestic purchasing power to international trade relations. In the case of Iraq, the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar has been a topic of concern for many years, especially since the country has faced numerous economic challenges due to factors like war, oil price fluctuations, and political instability. One of the key frustrations in your statement is the assertion that salaries are not improving, and the same applies to the HCL, hydrocarbon law. In an economy like Iraq's, where a large portion of the population depends on the value of the national currency for their livelihood, having an unstable exchange rate can lead to significant hardships for the people. Inflation erodes the value of the currency, making goods and services more expensive for ordinary people. When salaries remain stagnant or are not adjusted to keep pace with inflation, This creates a significant gap between the cost of living and income levels, pushing many people into poverty or economic insecurity. A new exchange rate in this context could potentially mean a revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, increasing its value against other currencies like the US dollar. This would, in theory, increase the purchasing power of the citizens, as their salaries would stretch further, and they could afford more goods and services. However, achieving this would require a series of structural and economic reforms that would affect everything from central banking policies to government regulations. Without addressing the root causes of the economic problems, such as corruption, mismanagement, and reliance on a volatile oil market, simply changing the exchange rate may not be enough to stabilize the economy. In countries with high inflation and currency devaluation, a new exchange rate is often used as a tool to stabilize the economy. However, it can also serve as a political maneuver to build trust among citizens and signal a shift toward improved economic management. It also can offer a sense of hope, suggesting that the government is taking decisive action to solve the country's economic problems. Yet, for the average citizen, this may feel like little more than a temporary fix if it is not accompanied by meaningful structural reforms. The hydrocarbon law, HCL, and its connection to the exchange rate. The hydrocarbon law, HCL, is central to Iraq's economy as it governs the management and distribution of the country's vast oil wealth. Iraq is heavily dependent on oil revenues, which make up the majority of its national income. However, the distribution of this wealth has been a contentious issue, especially between the central government in Baghdad and the Kurdish regional government, KRG, in the north. The HCL aims to define how oil revenues should be shared among different regions of Iraq and how oil reserves should be managed and exploited. However, despite years of discussions and negotiations, the HCL has not been fully implemented, and many of its provisions remain in dispute. Without a fully functioning HCL, oil wealth is not being distributed in a way that benefits the entire population, particularly in terms of public services and infrastructure development. Additionally, the uncertainty surrounding the HCL and Iraq's oil revenues adds to the instability of the economy, which in turn exacerbates the issues surrounding the exchange rate. This statement suggests that despite years of discussion and debate, there has been little to no tangible progress on implementing the law. Without the HCL, Iraq's regions and citizens continue to face economic disparities, and the country's oil wealth remains concentrated in the hands of a few. A new exchange rate, therefore, is seen as necessary not only to improve the value of the dinar but also to ensure that Iraq's oil wealth is managed in a way that benefits the entire population. The linkage between the HCL and a new exchange rate is therefore clear. The country needs both a fair and transparent distribution of oil revenues and a stable exchange rate to ensure that the national economy functions in a way that meets the needs of the population. Thanks for tuning in to IQD Dinar News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global currency trends, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.